هناك العديد من السبل التي تهدي إلى الإسلام، فيولد الكثيرون مسلمين ويكتشف البعض الآخر الإسلام من خلال الدراسة أو القراءة. وفي حالة واحدة على الأقل دخلت أسرتان الإسلام من خلال الخيول. تقع بلدة كايوا في السهول الشرقية لتلال كولورادو المدرجة، وقد تأسست منذ ما يقرب من 150 عاما على ضفاف نهر كايوا. وعلى الرغم من صغرها إلا أنها المركز الإداري لمقاطعة إلبرت، وبالتالي فهي مقر بعض الهيئات الحكومية. وتفتخر البلدة بوجود مقهيان على الطريق الرئيسي، حيث يستمتع أهل البلدة وزائروها بوجبات شهية. تقع كايوا على بعد ساعة بالسيارة جنوب شرق منطقة دنفر، وعلى الرغم من هذه المسافة إلا أنها قريبة بما يكفي لتشهد نمواً سريعاً في السنوات الأخيرة. يتجاوز عدد سكان كايوا نفسها 600 شخص، بينما يعيش بضعة آلاف شخص في المنطقة المحيطة. يذهب البعض إلى منطقة دنفر للعمل، حيث لا توفر البلدة سوى عدد قليل من الوظائف، بينما يعمل الكثيرون في المجال الزراعي. تتمتع المراعي المحيطة ببلدة كايوا بالهدوء والمناظر الخلابة والغروب الرائع، فلا تتوقع أن تجد أسرة أمريكية مسلمة في مثل هذا المكان.
Salam alaikum. My name is Stephanie Parlov, and I converted to Islam in 1996.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tim. I converted to Islam about 15 years ago.
تعيش ستيفاني وتيم هنا مع ولديهما البالغين، ابنتهما ليزلي وابنهما ستيفان. وتعيش معهما أيضا ماري أخت ستيفاني وبربرا والدة ستيفاني، فهم يعيشون معا في المنزل نفسه وتسود بينهم المودة. اختارت ليزلي عدم اعتناق الإسلام، أما ستيفان فقد اختار اعتناق الإسلام مع والديه لفترة.
When I was 5 or 6, my parents converted to Islam and raised me to be Muslim as well.
أثناء طفولتهما كان ستيفاني وتيم يشعران بروابط دينية قوية.
I was raised Roman Catholic. I was in an Italian family, 9 brothers and sisters. And Mom would take us to church every weekend when we were young.
My parents were Catholic, and it was a strong Catholic family. So we went to Sunday school, we went to church, we went to catechism classes, and it was a nice place to grow up. It was nice with my parents.
They got a lot of religion because I was very active in teaching and stuff, and they were taught Catholic religion, but I never objected to questions about other religions. I put a religion in them as a basis for their life. What they do with it is theirs. Religion is good for people. And I think that the people that have any kind of a religion will have a good time, a good life, and a understanding life, a fairness of what other people might need or do.
As I got older, I began to look at other things. I looked at atheism. I looked at metaphysical things. I looked at born-again Christianity, which was probably my strongest.
When Steph and I got married, we were both Christian. I really wasn't a churchgoer at the time.
And then Islam found me. Alhamdulillah.
Well, I was introduced to Islam through, basically through the horses.
It was through beautiful, beautiful stories about the horses and the people who had made the strains and about just living an Islamic life. And so Jerry, who is our friend, Jerry and Deborah Dirks, they are both wonderful storytellers. And so through those stories, we came to Islam, and through the wonderful Muslim brothers and sisters they introduced us to. And that was our first real understanding of the peace and beauty of Islam, was the people that we had met and the beautiful lives they were living.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Deborah Dirks, and I converted to Islam in 1993.
نشأت ديبرا في مزرعة بوسط كانساس، حيث كانت الطفلة السابعة من بين 7 أطفال، وقد اعتنت بالحيوانات طوال حياتها.
We were on a farm. We had lots of animals. I started driving tractor when I was 6, training my first horse when I was 7. The family was Mennonite, and it was a long heritage of a lot of pride that was within the family. And being brought up in this very conservative group, my grandfather believed that he should only wear long sleeves. Most of the people in my parents' generation wore long dresses, at least well below the knee, more conservative than the normal American of the 50s. It was a very close-knit community that I grew up in.
تزوجت ديبرا من جيري عندما كانت في 17 من العمر.
I became involved in the preservation of Arabian horses in 1979 and ran a Arabian horse preservation breeding program and ranch from 79 through 2000. And that was my profession at the time that I converted to Islam.
ومن خلال البحث في الأسلاف المصرية للخيول، قابلت ديبرا شخصين سيكون لهما أهمية خاصة في اعتناقهما الإسلام.
It was through Jamal and his wife Sahar, and then the greater community in Denver, that we were exposed to very beautiful examples of what it means to be a Muslim, and how careful they were to present Islam through how they lived their life, not through what they told us. And for a long time, we were busy with them translating documents that had come with the horses and telling us about how Muslims raised horses in the 1800s and before in Arabia.
لقد درسا القرآن لعامين، ثم جاءت رحلة إلى الشرق الأوسط ترتبط بالخيول العربية، وأصبحت ديبرا تواجه القرار وجها لوجه.
We decided to wear a scarf and long skirts so that we wouldn't be insulting our hosts over there. And so when we came back, when we got on the plane to fly back, Carol turned to me and said, "It's okay, you can take off your scarf now." And I said, "I think I'm just going to leave it on." We had been there for 5 weeks. We had been traveling in the Middle East for 5 weeks. And so for me, it was, I didn't want to change what I had been doing. And so I said, I'm just going to leave it on, and I'm going to see how I feel about it in Colorado when we get back. And I did. I just left it on.
After they went to the Middle East the first time, they went to Syria to get information on these amazing horses that we both had. they came back, and Deborah was in a scarf. And I was just completely interested in that. You know, I saw her at the store, and I said, oh, something has happened with Deborah. And so I called her up and said, you know, something has happened. I can see it. You know, please, I need to know what's going on, you know. So I went to her house, and she explained that she had converted.
She wanted to know what I found attractive about Islam, why I thought it was a religion that I wanted to be a part of. And so we just shared ideas.
And I was very happy for her because she was very happy. The next step to being really introduced to Islam was a gathering Deborah had at her house of horse people. And there was this amazing woman, and her name is Sahar. And she came out of the car, and she was completely covered. And all I could see were these beautiful, peaceful eyes. And I said, oh, she is just amazing. I just would like to have what Sahar has. I would like to have the peace that she had. But I didn't jump into Islam then. You know, my husband and I decided we both really enjoyed the people we had met, and that we appreciated that they had a really great faith. Obviously, it was working very well in their lives. Well, a few years later, Deborah had introduced us to so many people, and they were horse people, and we were going to Syria.
Stephanie went with me in 1996. I was moving my horses overseas to Jordan, and she and I flew over there and met the horses on the plane when they landed. And we spent time with some friends of mine and getting the horses settled in there. And then we were joined by Tim and by my husband and by a whole group of American Arabian horse enthusiasts.
We were open about the fact that we were considering Islam. And we had everything from people who were very gentle about it to a great brother that we really love who said, look, there's no considering. You know, you either are or you aren't. You do not need to take time. You know, if you are even considering, you probably are.
As much as the Muslims that I met here in America, the Muslims that I dealt with in Syria and Jordan were just as kind and just as generous. And that was another stepping stone for me to consider Islam as a religion. That was a life-changing time going over there.
On the flight back, I looked at him and I said, I think we're Muslim. And he said, I think we are too. So we waited for Deborah and Jerry to get home. And Deborah had taken many people to the masjid, but in all those years I had known her, and we had never gone to the masjid together.
And I said, well, come, let's go. And so it was a Friday. We were heading in for Jummah prayer. And as we went in, I was talking to Steph, and I was explaining, now when we line up to pray, just pray next to me, and we'll go to the end so we aren't interrupting the chain.
And we were going in, and she said, you know, now when you go to the masjid, because she didn't know we had converted yet, you know, you need to stand on the end, and, you know, because you're not Muslim. And I said to her, I can stand in the middle. It was so emotional. And Jerry said, oh, this is great.
And it was one of the best. I don't even know how to describe how beautiful that was. That moment, to me, is one of the sweetest moments of my life.
And I said to Deborah, you know, this is very exciting, but don't go telling everybody, because it was very new, and it felt like new shoes. So I wanted to ease into it. You know, I didn't want everybody to get all gung-ho. So I said, so I want you to keep it quiet, Deborah. And as Deborah says, she very quietly called everyone we know, all our brothers and sisters, And they all came over that night. And the first thing they did is the men took my husband and they took him down to Abu Bakr Mosque.